Hi everyone, this is a video covering some of the basics about the periodic table. You can watch many other videos online and it will talk a lot more in depth about the different elements you find on the periodic table. And when you go to chemistry class next year, you'll learn a lot about it as well. But we're going to talk about just some of the basics and how to identify what this table is telling us. And in your notes, you should have already read through this small section. Letter E, the periodic table, identifies some different labeling techniques. So if you printed this off, please pencil in or mark the labels that I write down in this video. If you don't have a printer to print off the periodic table, maybe you can just jot down these notes and have an outline of the periodic table so you know how to reference it later. Okay, so the first way to identify different elements on this periodic table are based on periods, and this is all in your notes. These are these horizontal rows. So here's one horizontal row, another one, and so on. Okay, so a period, we're going to label over here. These horizontal rows also identify the number of energy levels. So every element in this first row has one energy level. Every element in the second row has two energy levels, three in the third, and so on. The next grouping or labeling we're going to look at would be the group or family, the vertical columns. So over here we're going to write group or family. And these help us to identify the number of valence electrons. Okay, so we're going to label over here, we're going to put a 1 above this column because every element in this column has one valence electron. And 2 here. And then if we skip this yellow section, it doesn't follow the rule, we hop over to boron. Every element in this column has 3 valence electrons, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Make sure you write those numbers on your periodic table if you have one, and that will help you to easily identify the valence electrons once we get to making and drawing Lewis dot diagrams. Okay, something else important to remember is that there are metals and nonmetals on this periodic table. So we're going to draw in a stair step right here. I'm sure you remember this from previous classes. Everything to the right of the stair step, these are our nonmetals. Everything to the left of the stair step are the metals. Okay, the only exception would be hydrogen over here. Hydrogen is a non-metal. And we'll need to know where the metals and the nonmetals are once we get to bonding later on this unit. Something else we're going to identify, this column way over here on the right that has the 8 above it means they have 8 valence electrons, which means all of the energy levels, the outer energy level of all these elements is completely full. And so these elements are given the name of the noble gases because they have full outer energy levels. Now the one characteristic of helium that's kind of different is that this helium element does not even have 8 electrons in it. So it can't have 8 valence electrons. But we know that that first energy level only can hold 2, and that's what it has. So it actually does have a full outer energy level. All the rest of those elements in this column all have 8 in the outer energy level.